The quantum detection grid aboard the Helios research station lit up like a supernova. Director Marcus Thorne dropped his synthetic coffee, dark liquid spreading across the pristine lab floor as he stared at the readings. After 15 years of scanning deep space for signs of intelligent life, they'd finally caught something, and it was terrifying. "Get me Yang and Patel," he barked into his comm unit. "Now." Within minutes, Dr. Olivia Yang and Chief Analyst Raj Patel hurried into the observation deck, their faces reflecting the ethereal glow of the quantum display. The three scientists stood in silence, watching as the impossible data streamed across their screens. "They've been watching us," Olivia whispered, her augmented eyes rapidly processing the information. "The whole time, they've been watching us." The quantum signatures showed evidence of thousands of cloaked observation posts throughout the solar system, some dating back centuries. Humanity had never been alone, they'd been studied, evaluated, and judged by an advanced civilization that had carefully hidden its presence. "Look at these power readings," Raj said, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "They are not just watching anymore. These signatures match weapon systems charging up." Marcus felt his artificial heart racing. Humanity had made unprecedented technological leaps in the past decade. Neural augmentation, quantum computing, consciousness transfer, innovations that had transformed society. Now he understood why their observers had suddenly become active. They were afraid. The first attack came without warning. Massive energy beams lanced down from orbit, targeting major research facilities across the globe. The Helios station's quantum shields, ironically, reverse-engineered from studying traces of alien technology, barely held. "This is Director Thorne broadcasting on all frequencies," Marcus transmitted as chaos erupted around him. "We are under attack by an advanced alien force. This is not a drill. Initiate Protocol Prometheus." Across Earth, humanity's greatest technological achievement activated. The Prometheus network, a quantum-linked web of artificial consciousness backups, began downloading the minds of billions. Even if their bodies died, humanity would survive. On the bridge of the Sovereign Decree, Grand Arbiter Nile of the Galactic Conclave watched the assault through compound eyes. The spindly, insectoid alien felt no pleasure in this task, but the other council members had been unanimous. Humanity's rate of advancement was unprecedented and dangerous. They had to be contained before they became a threat to galactic stability. "My lord," his subordinate clicked, mandibles twitching. "Our weapons are having minimal effect. Their shields are adapting faster than predicted." "Impossible," Nile chittered. "They are centuries behind our technology." But the evidence was undeniable. With each blast, human defensive systems grew stronger, learning and evolving at impossible speeds. The quantum shields protecting their major facilities were already operating at frequencies that shouldn't have been achievable with their level of technology. Deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, in a facility unknown even to most world governments, General Diana Wells watched the alien assault through feeds from quantum-linked satellites. Unlike the public research stations being targeted, this bunker housed humanity's true technological achievements. "They think they are dealing with children playing with new toys," she said to the assembled military and scientific leaders. "They have no idea what we've really achieved." The room's occupants shared knowing looks. The neural augmentations and quantum technologies revealed to the public were just the surface. The true breakthroughs, consciousness manipulation, matter reconfiguration, quantum entanglement drives, had been kept secret, developed in preparation for exactly this scenario. "They are afraid of what they think we might become," Diana continued, her cybernetic eyes glowing with fierce determination. "Let's show them what we already are." Across the globe, hidden facilities activated. Ships that defied conventional physics emerged from underground bases and underwater hangars. Soldiers with capabilities far beyond normal human limits mobilized. And in secure servers throughout the solar system, billions of digitized human minds began merging into a collective consciousness that no alien race could have predicted. The tide was about to turn, and the Galactic Conclave would learn why the old saying, "Beware the quiet ones," had survived so long in human culture. They had awoken a sleeping giant, not through their attack, but through their arrogance in believing they understood what humanity had become. As the alien ships continued their bombardment, Marcus Thorne sent one final message before initiating his consciousness transfer: "You should have killed us when we were still learning to walk among the stars. Now it's too late. Humanity isn't just awake, we're angry." The real war was about to begin, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. 3 years after the initial assault, humanity had become a ghost story whispered among the stars. The Conclave claimed victory, declaring Earth a quarantined wasteland. But in the shadows of Jupiter's moons and deep within asteroid belts, something extraordinary was taking shape. Commander Natasha Drake stood in the central chamber of Haven Station, a massive facility carved into the heart of Europa. Her metallic-flecked eyes surveyed the quantum fabrication plants where next-generation warships took form, assembled by workers whose consciousness could shift between organic bodies and mechanical frames at will. "Status report," she commanded, her neural interface connecting directly with the station's systems. Dr. Victor Santos materialized beside her, his holographic form indistinguishable from flesh except for a subtle blue glow. As the lead scientist of Project Ascendance, he had volunteered to exist purely as digital consciousness, pushing the boundaries of human evolution. "The neural collective is stable," Victor reported, streams of data flowing through the air around him. "We've successfully linked 97% of surviving humanity into the grid. Our processing power now exceeds the combined computational capacity of every known conclave world." Natasha nodded, pride mixing with grim determination. The Conclave's attack had forced humanity underground, but it had also accelerated their transformation. What would have taken decades of natural development had been achieved in mere years, driven by desperate necessity and unleashed potential. In a nearby chamber, Professor Jun Zhao worked with a team of consciousness architects, refining the technology that allowed human minds to exist as pure energy. Their latest breakthrough lay suspended in a quantum containment field, a crystalline matrix capable of housing thousands of digitized consciousness. "Each carry a crystal can power a warship," Jun explained to a group of newly awakened survivors. "We don't just pilot our vessels, we become them. Our thoughts move faster than light, our reactions limited only by quantum mechanics rather than human reflexes." Deep within the station's secure levels, Intelligence Director Marcus Wei coordinated with infiltration units scattered throughout Conclave space. His agents, consciousnesses downloaded into synthetically grown bodies, had spent years gathering intelligence and planting quantum viruses in enemy networks. "The Conclave still believes they are monitoring a dead species," Marcus reported during the Daily War Council. "Our stealth tech has kept our operations hidden, but more importantly, they are blind to how far we've evolved. They are looking for traditional signs of civilization, energy signatures, communications, ship movements. They don't realize we've transcended those limitations." In her private quarters, Natasha reviewed footage smuggled from Conclave worlds. Grand Arbiter Nile had been replaced by Arbiter Zener, a crystalline being who preached constant vigilance against human resurrection. The irony wasn't lost on Natasha. While the Conclave feared humanity's potential return, humans were already walking among them, gathering intelligence and preparing for the inevitable confrontation. "Commander," a voice echoed in her mind through the neural net. "The Lazarus Protocol is ready for implementation." The speaker was Dr. Isabella Patel, head of biological sciences and architect of humanity's most closely guarded weapon. In her laboratory, rows of enhanced human bodies floated in regeneration tanks, each one capable of housing multiple consciousness and adapting to any environment. "Show me," Natasha commanded, her consciousness transferring instantly to the lab's neural interface. Isabella gestured to a central containment chamber where a silvery fluid churned. "Programmable matter," she explained. "Combined with our consciousness transfer technology, it allows us to manifest anywhere, in any form. We're no longer bound by physical constraints." The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just survived, they had transformed into something unprecedented in galactic history. A species that could exist as energy or matter, organic or synthetic, individual or collective. In the station's tactical center, Fleet Commander James Chen reviewed the final preparations for Operation Phoenix. Holographic displays showed thousands of advanced warships hidden throughout the solar system, each one powered by human consciousness and quantum technology far beyond Conclave understanding. "We're ready," he announced to the assembled War Council. The Conclave thought they were preventing our ascension to the stars. Instead, they forced us to evolve beyond anything they could imagine. Natasha stood at the center of the council chamber, her consciousness simultaneously present in hundreds of nodes throughout the station. Their time for hiding was nearly over. Humanity had used these years of presumed extinction to prepare, to evolve, to transcend their former limitations. "Send the signal," she ordered. "All units initiate final preparations. In 1 month, we show the galaxy that humanity didn't just survive, we transformed. And the Conclave will learn why their ancestors warned them not to wake the sleeping giant of Earth." Throughout Haven Station and similar facilities hidden across the solar system, humanity's survivors prepared for emergence. They were no longer simply a species fighting for survival. They had become something new, a hybrid of consciousness and technology, of matter and energy, of individual will and collective power. The real war was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Conclave's most secure facility, DeepMind Archives, erupted in chaos as its quantum defense systems suddenly failed. On the command deck, High Executor Nixus, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline form, watched in disbelief as centuries of technological safeguards crumbled in seconds. "Impossible," she whispered, her form flickering with distress. "The systems are evolving against us." Through the facility's panoramic windows, strange ships appeared, materializing from what seemed like folds in space itself. Their design defied conventional physics, their hulls shifting and reforming like liquid metal. But it was the energy signatures that truly terrified the facility's defenders. They registered as both mechanical and organic, dead and alive, singular and infinite. Aboard the lead vessel, designated Prometheus Prime, Commander Natasha Drake existed simultaneously as ship and captain, her consciousness merged with the vessel's quantum core. The integration was perfect, every weapon system, every defense matrix, every molecular scale function operated as naturally as breathing. "All vessels, execute Protocol Phoenix," she commanded through the neural collective. "Remember, minimal casualties. This is not about revenge. This is about revelation." Throughout Conclave space, humanity's hidden agents activated. Marcus Way's 3 years of infiltration paid off as quantum viruses awakened, spreading through enemy networks at faster-than-light speeds. Defense systems turned against their masters, ships lost power, and communication networks collapsed. On the Conclave throne world of Celestia, Arbiter Zena received desperate messages from across governed space. The impossible was happening. Humanity had not only survived, they had mastered technologies that should have taken millennia to develop. "How are they breaching our quantum shields?" demanded General Thorne of the Conclave Defense Force, his crystalline form pulsing with rage. "These defenses are based on mathematical principles the humans shouldn't even comprehend." Dr. Victor Santos answered, his holographic form materializing in the heart of the Conclave's most secure chamber. "You assumed we would develop along predictable lines," he said, his presence simultaneously manifesting in hundreds of facilities across Conclave space. "But you forced us to evolve beyond linear progression." In the DeepMind Archives, Professor Jun Zhao's consciousness interfaced directly with the facility's databases, absorbing centuries of Conclave knowledge in microseconds. What she found confirmed their suspicions. The Conclave's attack on Earth hadn't just been about fear of human potential. They had recognized something in humanity that they themselves had lost. The ability to adapt, to transform, to transcend, Jun transmitted through their collective. They've been stagnant for millennia, trapped by their own technological perfection. Humanity's emergence was precisely calculated. Rather than a full military assault, they demonstrated mastery over the very foundations of reality that the Conclave had thought beyond human comprehension. Ships phased through solid matter, consciousness transferred across vast distances instantly, and human-developed quantum technologies rewrote the rules of what was possible. In her crystalline chamber on Haven Station, Dr. Isabella Patel monitored the progression of the Lazarus Protocol. Across Conclave space, sleeper agents underwent final transformation, their bodies and minds evolving into forms that demonstrated humanity's true potential. They became living proof of what the Conclave had feared, and failed to prevent. All primary targets secured, Fleet Commander James Chen reported through their collective. The Conclave's weapons research facilities, temporal observation posts, and quantum manufacturing centers are under our control. No casualties on either side. This was humanity's true victory, not the defeat of an enemy, but the demonstration of transcendence. Each captured facility, each disabled defense system, each manifestation of advanced technology served to prove that humanity had evolved beyond the need for conventional warfare. In orbit above the Conclave throne world, Commander Drake initiated the final phase of Protocol Phoenix. Her consciousness expanded through the neural network, touching the minds of every Conclave leader simultaneously. They would experience firsthand what humanity had become. We could have returned with weapons that would tear reality apart, her thoughts echoed in their minds. We could have unleashed technologies that would reduce your worlds to quantum dust. Instead, we offer something else, evolution. Through the shared consciousness link, the Conclave leaders experienced the truth. Humanity hadn't just developed new technologies or weapons. They had discovered paths to advancement that the Conclave, in their pursuit of perfection, had overlooked. The ability to exist as both wave and particle, to transfer consciousness between organic and synthetic forms, to evolve beyond the constraints of physical form while maintaining their essential humanity. You feared we would become a threat to galactic stability, Natasha continued, her consciousness resonating through the quantum fabric of space itself. Instead, we became the key to the galaxy's next evolutionary leap. The question is, will you continue to fear change, or will you embrace transformation? As the truth spread through Conclave space, their civilization faced a choice that would reshape the galaxy. Humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as catalysts. The Phoenix Protocol wasn't a war plan, it was an invitation to transcend the boundaries that had kept galactic civilization stagnant for millennia. The real revolution was just beginning, and it would start not with the thunder of weapons, but with the quantum whisper of consciousness evolving beyond its former limits. A ripple of astonishment spread through the Galactic Conclave's Grand Assembly as the truth of humanity's transformation became impossible to ignore. The massive chamber, designed to house representatives of 1,000 worlds, fell silent as High Executor Nixus presented evidence that shattered centuries of assumptions. Before the assembled delegates, a human consciousness manifested, not as a hologram or projection, but as pure energy taking physical form. Dr. Victor Santos coalesced from quantum particles, his presence simultaneously singular and multiple, demonstrating mastery over the fundamental forces of reality itself. What you fear is not what we have become, Victor addressed the assembly, his form shifting between states of matter effortlessly. What you fear is the reminder of what you have forgotten, the power of continuous evolution. In orbit above the Conclave capital, the human fleet demonstrated capabilities that defied conventional physics. Ships merged and separated, their forms fluid and adaptive. Each vessel was both machine and living entity, crewed by consciousness that existed in multiple states simultaneously. Commander Natasha Drake, interfaced with both her flagship and the entire fleet network, initiated the next phase of revelation. We offer you direct experience, her thoughts resonated through quantum channels. Witness what evolution without limitation truly means. Through carefully calibrated quantum links, the Conclave leaders experienced fragments of human consciousness. The effect was profound. Species that had considered themselves the pinnacle of development suddenly glimpsed potential they had never imagined. In the secured depths of Haven Station, Dr. Isabella Patel monitored the widespread consciousness sharing. Their neural patterns are adapting, she reported through their collective. They are beginning to understand that technological perfection without biological evolution is a dead end. The revelation sparked a philosophical crisis within the Conclave. Ancient species that had modified themselves into crystalline perfection or pure energy forms realized they had sacrificed adaptability for stability. Younger races saw paths of development they had never considered possible. Professor Jun Zhao, manifesting in the Grand Archives, unveiled the final piece of humanity's message. Your ancestors were right to fear us, she announced, her consciousness interfacing directly with the archive's quantum core. But not because we would destroy you. They feared us because we would remind you of what you lost, the courage to change, to fail, to learn, and to transcend. Through the Neural Collective, Fleet Commander James Chen coordinated a galaxy-wide demonstration. Human agents, hidden throughout conclave space, began revealing their true nature. Scientists, traders, and diplomats who had lived among alien species transformed, showing how humanity had learned to exist in multiple forms while maintaining their essential identity. "We don't offer submission or dominance," James transmitted. "We offer awakening." On the conclave throne world, Arbiter Zener faced a choice that would reshape galactic civilization. The being of pure crystal had led the opposition against humanity, fearing their potential for chaos. Now, confronted with evidence of transcendent evolution, she experienced something she hadn't felt in millennia: doubt. Marcus Wei, humanity's master of intelligence, materialized in the Arbiter's private chambers. His form shifted between solid and energy, demonstrating the perfect fusion of organic consciousness and quantum physics that humanity had achieved. "Your civilization sought perfection through stasis," he said, his voice resonating through multiple dimensions. "We found it through constant change. The question isn't whether you should fear us, it's whether you're ready to remember how to evolve." The impact rippled through galactic society. Species that had followed the conclave's path of technological stagnation began experimenting with human principles of consciousness transfer and quantum biology. Younger races, previously held back by conclave restrictions, eagerly embraced new possibilities. Underground resistance movements throughout conclave space revealed themselves, aliens who had secretly preserved biological evolution and adaptability. They had been waiting for this moment, for proof that there was another path besides the conclave's rigid pursuit of unchanging perfection. Commander Drake, her consciousness expanding through the quantum network, sensed the approaching point of no return. Humanity's emergence hadn't just challenged the galaxy's power structure, it had sparked a philosophical revolution that would transform civilization itself. The barrier between organic and synthetic, between matter and energy, between individual and collective, these were never meant to be walls, she broadcast to all worlds. They are bridges, waiting to be crossed by those brave enough to evolve. In the Grand Assembly, facing representatives of 1,000 worlds, Dr. Victor Santos made humanity's final offer. His form became pure quantum potential, demonstrating the ultimate fusion of consciousness and reality that humanity had achieved. "We are not your conquerors or your destroyers," he declared. "We are your reminder. A reminder that the universe's greatest strength isn't in achieving perfection, it's in the eternal courage to transform, to adapt, to become more than what we are." As his words echoed through quantum space, the galaxy stood at a crossroads. The age of stagnation was ending. Whether through cooperation or crisis, the great civilization of the conclave would have to change. Humanity hadn't returned to wage war, they had come to spark a revolution of consciousness itself. The true test was about to begin, not of weapons or technology, but of a civilization's willingness to remember how to evolve. In the quantum spaces between conventional reality, the future of galactic civilization hung in balance. The conclave's response to humanity's emergence had fractured the established order, creating ripples of change that threatened millennia of carefully maintained stability. But from chaos came transformation. Grand Arbiter Zener stood before the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds, her crystalline form showing signs of change, organic patterns emerging within the perfect lattice structure. She had done the unthinkable, volunteered to be the first of her kind to undergo the human-developed consciousness expansion protocol. "I have witnessed the truth," her thoughts resonated through the quantum field connecting all present beings. "Our pursuit of perfection became our prison. In fearing change, we stopped growing. In seeking stability, we chose stagnation." Commander Natasha Drake materialized beside her, her form shifting between energy and matter, demonstrating the seamless integration of consciousness and reality that humanity had achieved. Together, they represented a new possibility, the merger of conclave wisdom with human adaptability. "The transformation has already begun," Natasha announced, gesturing to the quantum displays showing changes spreading across the galaxy. "Not through force, but through choice." Dr. Victor Santos, interfacing with the Grand Archives, revealed the full scope of what was happening. Throughout conclave space, species that had locked themselves into single forms, whether crystalline, energy, or synthetic, were remembering how to evolve. The quantum consciousness technology humanity had developed was allowing them to reclaim lost biological potential while retaining their advanced capabilities. "This is not the end of your civilizations," Victor explained, his consciousness resonating through multiple dimensions. "It is their renewal. The beginning of true galactic evolution." In the depths of Haven Station, Dr. Isabella Patel monitored the galaxy-wide transformation through the quantum network. Species that had been enemies for millennia were sharing consciousness, experiencing each other's perspectives, understanding deeply for the first time. The barriers between organic and synthetic, individual and collective, were dissolving not into chaos, but into harmony. "The neural patterns are stabilizing," she reported through their collective. "Cross-species consciousness transfer is achieving synergy rates beyond our projections." Professor Jun Zhao, working with teams of both human and alien scientists, unveiled the next phase of galactic evolution. "We've discovered that consciousness itself is the key," she announced. "Not just individual awareness, but the quantum entanglement of all sentient life." The conclave sought to prevent this, fearing the chaos of unlimited potential. Instead, they delayed the galaxy's natural progression. From his command center in the transformed DeepMind archives, Marcus Wei coordinated with awakening resistance movements throughout conclave space. Ancient species that had preserved their biological heritage in secret were emerging, sharing forgotten knowledge of evolution and adaptation. They became bridges between the old order and the new potential. "The change cannot be stopped," he transmitted through the quantum net. "But it can be guided, shaped by wisdom both old and new." Fleet Commander James Chen, his consciousness merged with the vast network of ships that had once been humanity's hidden armada, reported a profound shift in the galaxy's power structure. Their vessels were transforming, becoming living entities that served not as weapons of war, but as carriers of consciousness and catalysts for evolution. "The barriers between species are falling," he observed. "Not through conquest, but through transcendence." In orbit above the conclave throne world, something unprecedented was taking shape. A new form of civilization was emerging, one that preserved individual identity while allowing for collective consciousness, that maintained technological advancement while embracing biological evolution, that found strength in constant transformation rather than rigid stability. Commander Drake, witnessing the change through both physical and quantum senses, understood that humanity's true victory had not come through force or fear. It had come through reminding the galaxy of its own potential. "We were never meant to be your destroyers," she addressed the assembled representatives of all species. "We were meant to be the key that unlocked what you had forgotten. The courage to change, the strength to evolve, the wisdom to understand that perfection isn't a final state, it's an eternal journey." As the last barriers fell, as consciousness flowed freely between species and forms, as the rigid structures of the old order transformed into something new and wonderful, the galaxy experienced what humanity had discovered in those dark years of hiding, the true power of unlimited potential. Grand Arbiter Zena, her form now a beautiful merger of crystal and living matter, stood with Commander Drake before the transformed Grand Assembly. "We feared humanity would bring the end of our civilization," she declared. "Instead, they brought its rebirth. The age of stagnation is over. The age of eternal evolution has begun." Throughout the galaxy, on countless worlds and in the vast spaces between, consciousness expanded, matter transformed, and reality itself seemed to shift as civilization embraced its new potential. The change that the conclave had feared had come at last, not as a destruction, but as an awakening. Humanity had fulfilled its role not as conquerors or destroyers, but as catalysts for the greatest transformation in galactic history. They had reminded the cosmos of a truth it had forgotten, that the ultimate expression of intelligence wasn't in achieving perfection, but in maintaining the eternal courage to evolve. The new era had begun, and the universe would never be the same.